Hey YouTube, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Received something new, a super cool new car, and it's from FMS. FMS raw copy ECRC. Now it's also called Eachine. Nobody knows if that's the same company, but those are those who brought a lot of super cool tiny trucks to us. Started in 2020 with the awesome 1 to 6 really cheap, and then they came with the awesome, I love it, Atlas 6x6, which does have a Lexan body, the only model of those which doesn't have a hard body. And then they started with the raw copy Katana with the Toyota LC80 body, and they brought 3 models to us with the LC80 body, the ECRC Patreon, later renamed to Patriot. Mine is still in modification process. The first was the awesome Katana, and the last was the FMS LC80, the licensed one, licensed Toyota LC80. And they brought 2 Jeeps to us. The ECRC Arizona, super cheap, awesome hardbody, no interior, and the new raw copy Firehorse. So we have a lot of Jeeps, we have even more Toyota LC80s, and it was time for something new. And here it is, check it out, the new Toyota FJ Cruiser from FMS, also licensed, Toyota logo in front, Toyota logo and FJ Cruiser logo on the rear side. Awesome hard body. Looks a little bit plasticish, but maybe some clear coat could do it. However, absolutely awesome body and also awesome interior. I hope you can see this. As the Katana and the Patriot and the licensed LC80 do have. Let's try to give some light. Absolutely awesome interior, dashboard, wow, as the others do, and the body really looks awesome. Plastic look okay. It also smelled bad for plastic. Don't know if it came from of the tires or from the body. I didn't have this in any of the other models. And the FJ Cruiser, really strong smell for plastic or rubber or whatever. Check this out. Hard plastic, separately mounted fenders. Of course, door handles molded. Mirrors. 3 windshield wipers. An awesome front grille with Toyota logo. 3 additional lights in front, fog lights or whatever. You could probably mount 3mm LEDs, but there will be a problem here on this position. There is no room part of the, but probably you could do it. Bumpers, side steps, everything separately mounted. Luggage rack, spare tire, leather. In here, door handle, Toyota logos. So it looks really, really awesome outside and inside. Snorkel, of course, hard plastic molded. And before we take a deeper look inside to the chassis, because there are some different types, let's check what we get. What's super nice, the FJ Cruiser does also come in this awesome packing of the raw copy and FMS trucks. So outside sturdy card box, Eachine FMS. This card box is Banggood proof, so you don't have to be afraid, but damage during shipping. And then, as we already know, inside a colorful card box, kind of sleeve, Toyota FJ Cruiser. All new FMS and Eachine 1 to 18th FJ Cruiser. And inside this absolutely awesome box of styrofoam. And inside the truck is perfectly secured. You don't get a lot. You get this typical USB charger and a wheel wrench. And you get a manual. What's quite important, because it has a quite sophisticated light controller. Manual in Chinese, I thought, but then second part. The same in English again. And as they do now always, yes, that's important. If you don't do it, you can probably damage your battery. And there is a surprise. We know all those tiny radios which come with most of those tiny trucks, but the easier C ones where you can take off the handle, I like those. They work with turbo racing for channel receivers, and in the Katana and in the LC80 you can switch light by channel 3, but this FJ Cruiser does not come with this kind of radio. It comes with a totally new radio with a ton of buttons and functions. Totally new. Any one of you knows this radio? I do already have one. This one. Exactly the same radio. This does not come with the 1 to 12th Suzuki Jimmy by FMS. This exact same radio does come with the awesome my absolute favorite truck in 21. The awesome 1 to 12th Willys Jeep does come with exactly the same radio. So, as I have shown you in the videos about the Willys, this radio does have a ton of functions. In the Willy it does have 2-speed shifting mechanisms and a ton of light controller functions. So hopefully all this will work with the FJ Cruiser too. So let's check this out first, the radio and the radio functions. Of course the FJ Cruiser has an opening hood, as all of those trucks, but the Atlas, and inside there's not a lot of room. The on-off button or on-off switch is placed here. That's quite nice. It's quite difficult to get to it in the 1 to 12th Willys Jeep. And you see it does have a new receiver unit similar to the Willys Jeep, but with a lot less plugs, or similar to the 1 to 12th Suzuki Jimny. It has the same 380 milliamp hours to S-LiPo as all the new models come. That's labeled ECRC, that's FMS or raw copy 5C 380 milliamp hours. So quite weak batteries, but unfortunately there is not a lot of room for larger batteries inside. So probably we will have to live with this small battery. Maybe the 600 milliamp hours of the Katana will fit. And here's the board. I can't see if it's conformal coated. Waterproof probably not, but even the units of the Katana, Atlas and the LC80, the licensed ones, they were said to be splash proof but not waterproof anyway. It's hard to say if it's conformal coated. And the radio has a ton of plugs and ton of functions, and I played around a little bit with it already. There are some buttons which do not have any functions. For example, that's the first, second gear button for the Willys Jeep does not have function, and I will show you later the training mode button, channel 4 and channel 6 do not have any functions. But let's switch it on. Here is the on-off switch. It has several warning functions. It has LEDs in front, and when there is no connection to the car, those flash. And if the battery of the radio are low, they will flash slowly too. So that's quite nice. Let's switch on the LC80. And let's check the functions of the radio. What's important, as in the Willys Jeep, I explained this in detail in the Willys Jeep, the on-off switch, of course, on-off, but here on the top there is a mode 1, mode 2 switch. So that's quite important to know, because the light controller functions only work in mode 2. Here you have a factory reset switch. You have to turn the steering wheel and to press this button. And then you are back on factory settings. Here you have the reverse button and steering angle. Here you have steering trim and throttle trim. And the other throttle trim button will also be the button for the light control functions in mode 2. And here we have channel 4 training, as in the Willys Jeep 1 to 12. Training mode was slower, but this doesn't have any function. And here you have channel 5 climbing mode. That's awesome with this button. I will show it to you. Now you can switch on and off drag brake. And channel 6 seems also not to have any functions. So what we can do, we have this in mode A. We can reverse steering and reverse throttle. Therefore, you simply steer and press the button. And now steering is reverse. Steer, press the button, steering is correct. And same for throttle. So give throttle, press the button, you see it changed. And now it's in correct direction again. And in mode B, this button is to adjust the steering angle, but I don't know if anyone would use it. You see now we are on maximum steering angle, mode B, press the button one time. Now we have super low steering angle. Once again, now we have medium steering angle. And once again, now we have full steering angle. I wouldn't know why you would do this. And what's quite nice, we have the drag brake function. This also works in mode 2. Check it out now. I can push the car quite easily now. And now I press the channel 5 climbing button. And now it's super hard. So now we have drag brake function. And now we switch it off again. But unfortunately, in both directions, so with or without drag brake, you can't go directly from forward to reverse. There's a brake function. You see? Now I'm in not climbing, not drag brake mode. Press the button once. Same thing. So you have to wait a little bit. No direct forward reverse in the FG80. And now we come to the light controller functions, which are quite nice and awesome, at least in front lights. I will start with the bad things. At least in my FJ Cruiser, there is no rear light function. I don't know if that's only my FJ Cruiser. If that's a defect, I will write to Banggood where I bought it from. Because manual says there is a rear light function, but in mine there is no function. Only if you go reverse, the brake or rear lights are on, and no matter which light mode function I press, there is no change. Now we are in number 1 again, so unfortunately there is no function in rear lights in my FJ Cruiser. We will see when there are more reviews if that's in all of those cars, because the manual tells you something about rear light functions. It's quite puzzling. Where is it? Here. Tail lights. There are white circles. I don't know if this means always on, off. Probably you can't read it anyway. I played around. I tried everything. It's brand new. Unfortunately, no functions at all in tail lights in mine. Only if you go reverse, the red lights are on. That's quite a bummer. That's quite ugly. And additionally, there are no turning lights. I went back to factory settings now. What I forgot, of course, in mode A you have steering trim and throttle trim, as always. And let's check the front. And here we have, if the car is only switched on, we do have, unfortunately, turning lights, you see. But what's super cool, you have to be in mode B for this, and throttle trim plus controls the LED. If you press it once, you have one beep, still no lights, and turning lights are off. So you can switch those ugly turning lights off. Every curve turning lights, I hate this. Unfortunately, if you switch on the lights, one click, then you have low beam. Turning lights are on again. 2 clicks, high beam. Turning lights still on. And 3 clicks, quite nice, high beam and hazard lights. Unfortunately, nothing on the rear side. And 5 beams, we are in position 1 as the car comes. So quite an awesome light controller. That's much better than in the Katana and in the LC80, the licensed ones, where you only can switch on off lights. But unfortunately, and I don't know why they did it, no turning lights in the rear and no light functions. Nothing changes. If I go in reverse direction, rear lights are on, no turning lights, nothing. So that's quite a bummer. Guess all functions explained. Throttle trim minus doesn't have any function, seem to have no function in this truck, while in the Willys Jeep it's for turning on off those those turning lights and turn on off hazard lights. And steering trim doesn't have any function in mode B. So in mode B only throttle trim plus does have the function as light controller, and the channel 5 climbing button does have the function drag brake on off, what's quite awesome. This button doesn't have any function. Channel 4 and channel 6 don't have any functions, and I inspected, checked the board quite exactly. I couldn't find any free ports where you maybe could add some servos or switches or whatever. So I'm not totally sure if I should be happy or not. Awesome front light control and such poor rear lights. And I forgot to show you 2 super nice warning functions of the truck. So now it's on, and if the truck loses control to the radio, you see flashing light, alarm. If it gets connected to the radio again, it does stop. And it does have a low voltage alarm, super nice. And to show you this, I will disconnect the battery and connect it to my power supply, LED power supply. You see 8.4 volts, full 2S LiPo. Let's switch it on again. So works. And now I reduce voltage, 7.8, 7.4 volts, 7, 6.9, 6.7, 6.6, 6.4, 6.3, 6.2, 6.1, 5.9. Flashing, low battery alarm. That's 3 volt per cell. That's quite a low alarm. You have to switch it on and off again. Let's try it again. Go down to 7, 6, 9, 6, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. The release chip had this warning functions at 6.0. It starts at 6.3. So that's okay. 6.8, 6.7, 6.5, 6.4, 6.3. Yes. So super cool. Saves your LiPo. And now let's check the chassis. It does come exactly with the same super nice beadlock wheels and tires as all the others come. So all of those do have exactly the same tires, rims, wheels. So really nice. You can easily upgrade those. Fully functional spare wheel. Let's take one wheel off to check the shocks. And as you can see, that's exactly the same type of shocks that comes with all the EasyRC models and the LC80, the licensed Land Cruiser. So those are those super nice shocks, much better than in the Katana and in the Atlas, which work quite nice. But you can, as I did already here in my Arizona, make an oil-filled shock mod. What's a big improvement? Check this truck out. Wheel weights, foams, and oil-filled shock mode compared to all those. So super nice as always. The chassis and the axles are this EasyRC type. So those are not the Hobby Plus type, the smaller pumpkins, more scale. Here as in the Katana on the left side. All Hobby Plus CR18s, even CR24 have very similar axles, and the Atlas 6x6. It comes with the EasyRC type as the new licensed Land Cruiser 80, so with the larger pumpkins. And it does come with metal frame rails, in contrary to the EasyRC models, which did come or do come with plastic frames. And this means the FJ Cruiser does, as the licensed Toyota Land Cruiser and the EasyRC models, have universal steering and not dog bone style steering, what's super nice. But not that scale. You see the C-hubs and all this is much larger in this truck than it is in the Rock Hobby Katana with the much more scale axles. However, universal steering works awesome. Does of course also have a chassis mounted servo. Links are plastic, as are the drive shafts. The same motor, the same chassis as the LC80 licensed and the EasyRC Patriot, and also the EasyRC Arizona. The wheelbase of the Arizona is slightly longer. Here you can see the chassis and the central transmission. The only difference that I found, what's quite strange, check the rear link mount here. That's the FJ Cruiser. Does here have a piece of plastics and the links are mounted here. And the licensed Toyota Land Cruiser does have the links directly mounted to the centerpiece, and it seems that it therefore has a tiny little bit longer wheelbase, maybe 3 millimeters 2, 3, 4, 5 millimeters maybe. And maybe that's the reason. This piece, oh, that's a centimeter. That's the only difference I found. Everything else seems to be the same, but if you saw my other videos, you know now the ECRC models do come with plastic gears inside the pumpkins, and the licensed Toyota Land Cruiser does have metal gears inside. Plastic gears in central transmission, but metal gears inside front and rear axle. And that's of course super interesting. And let's check. Let's take a drive shaft off and check if there are metal or plastic gears inside. And check it out. How cool is this? Metal gears as in the licensed Toyota LC80. Super cool. Metal gears inside the axles. Wow. So that's a big upgrade compared to the other trucks, but I don't know if there is really a problem with the plastic gears. I so far didn't have a problem, but I don't push my trucks really hard. Of course, as in the LC80, you can see it here. There are no ball bearings, there are bushings. You can see it here, there are no ball bearings, there are bushings. There are only 2 ball bearings, 2 large ball bearings. One on the right and one on the left C-hub, as in the ECRC models and in the licensed Toyota LC80. Same motor, same chassis. So if you want to know more about those, watch my more detailed review of the LC80, or watch my super detailed reviews about the ECRC models, the Toyota LC80 compared to the Katana and the ECRC Patriot or the Arizona. I did a lot of super detailed videos where I disassembled all those trucks. There's nothing new and nothing different. I will assemble it again, and let's make a short test drive now. So, bound. Let's switch the turning lights off. I hate those. That's the big advantage compared to the LC80 and the Katana. And you can already hear quite noisy electronics, but quite nice. Low speed modulation. Come back, come back, come back. Not bad, as all of those trucks can go with stock electronics quite nicely. Climb this small step. We know all of those trucks are no good climbers because of their super heavy hard body. Only the wheel is cheap. 1 to 12 is awesome, but all the others with their hard bodies, they are 50 degrees maximum, and then they will fall. And then they will fall. I did already test this in the Katana and in the Arizona, and it's not better in this one. Super scale hard body, but and you see the shocks. If you make the oil-filled shock mod, this will improve extremely. I highly recommend to do this oil-filled shock mod. Check my videos. I made a special video about oil-filled shock mod. And what I can say now here, what I really do not like, it's quite difficult to go from forward to reverse. You see? I have to wait really. Reverse? Come on. Oh, you have to push quite a little bit. So I have to get used to this. Not a super awesome climber, but a scale truck and quite nice crawling abilities. I saw a video where the reviewer told this one is much stronger than the Katana and the Atlas 6x6. In my opinion, that's not the case. So that's the only stock I do have. That's the licensed LC80 with nearly exactly the same chassis. So let's check this one, if it's weaker. It does have different electronics, but motor for sure is not weaker. I don't know what katana the other reviewer had, because in my opinion the licensed LC80, I really do have problems all the time to go reverse. You have to really push, so it can climb slow, nicely. And can the licensed one do this too? The motor should be exactly the same. Well, it's not stronger, but the low speed modulation of this new LC80 seems to be really better, as in the Willys Jeep, than in the Hobby Plus electronics. Check this out. That's super nice. So I don't think that's a strong motor, but it's for sure a much better low speed modulation. It's noisy, but it's far better than in the LC80. Because in the LC80 I have to push the throttle trigger. I have to push the throttle trigger much more. And now let's check the Katana stock motor, not changed, but the Katana is with upgraded electronics, you see. So okay, that's a different story. It's unfair to do this because the Katana, watch my videos, does have the awesome Modellbauregler DE ESC inside, so that's a different story. But big improvement compared to the old stock electronics, as it was already in the Willys Jeep. Once again, that's super nice. Wow, that's really nice. Not stronger, but better low speed modulation. So I guess, guys, this Toyota FJ Cruiser 1 to 18th is a winner. I really like it. What are the plus and minus? Plus, of course, awesome packing. Plus, super nice light control in front. Minus, no lights in the rear. Only these rear lights, red when I go backwards, no turning lights. Super nice scale body, super detailed. A little bit plasticish, bad smell. Nice wheels and tires, the same as the others to have. Metal chassis rails, better than the ECRC trucks. Motor should be the same, servo should be the same, but big plus, metal gears in the axles. Super nice. And it does come with the ECRC shocks and not with the Hobby Plus shocks. And in those shocks you can do this awesome oil-filled shock mod, and then those shocks work awesome. So I have to make a video with my Arizona to finish it and make a video to show you how well this climbs after all these modifications. But now here we are with the FMS Eachine Toyota FJ Cruiser licensed. I give all thumbs up. Super nice, in the line with the others. And what's super nice, that FMS, Rock Hobby, Eachine, ECRC always improve their stuff. So electronics are better now. The only downside of this radio is, compared to the tiny radios which come with the licensed LC80, with the Katana, with the Atlas, and with a lot of Hobby Plus trucks, in those radios, with those radios you can use a cheap 4-channel waterproof receiver from Turbo Racing, bind it to this radio. This will not work in this radio. So that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. I'll be back.